What's going on, everyone? It's Alex. I'm back in the garage here Saturday morning. So I'm sure many of you may know I'm already working on my Z back there. And in doing so, I'm doing some work to the brakes, so I have my wheels off the car. And a lot of you have asked me to test fit those wheels on the G37. And those are the Enkei, however you want to say it, RPF1s with the SBC finish. So I figured, why not? They're off the Z, and I have the G, so may as well test fit them and see how they look. I will tell you that you can't run a super aggressive offset on the G37 compared to the G35 or the 350Z. For example, on the sedan, the stock sport wheels I think are 50 offset in the back and 45 in the front, so pretty conservative. And even with the OEM G35 raise that I put on it, or that I have on it now, the fit is pretty aggressive. The rears are plus 33 offset compared to a plus 50, and the fronts are plus 33 compared to a plus 45. The tires are still 225 and 245 in the rear, but that offset really pushes them out towards the fender a bit more. So the RPF1s with the plus 15 offset are probably going to stick out a whole lot. So I'm mainly doing this to show that you can't run as aggressive a wheel on the G37. Also worth mentioning is I'm also only going to use the fronts from the 350Z, which are 18 by 9.5 with a 255 tire. I'm not even going to bother trying to put on the rears, which are 18 by 10.5 with a 295 tire. That would look just silly. I mean, these are going to look probably silly enough sticking out. So I'm just going to do the fronts just to give an idea of more so what the RPF1s look like on the G. And I also want to get an idea of what type of offset I would need if I wanted to still run a wide, aggressive tire. Alright, so now I'm going to jack up the car, pull off the wheels I have on it, and throw on the RPF1s and see how they look. So the first wheel's off the G. I just wanted to point out that even though so many people run these wheels and they're super popular, I love the way they look, and you can get them for a great price, but they're a really quality wheel. And another reason why I really love them is because they're super light. So here we have the G35 wheel, which is already lighter than the G37 wheel. So if we throw it on the scale, we can see that it weighs 48.6 pounds. So that's the stock 225 tire, and it's a 19 by 8 inch wheel. But here we have an 18 by 9.5, so it's a wider wheel, and a 255 tire, so again, much wider tire. And if we throw this one on the scale, we see that it weighs 44.6 pounds with the tire. So granted, it's not a 19-inch wheel, it's an 18-inch wheel, but it's a wider wheel with a wider tire and a more aggressive offset, and it still weighs less than the smaller wheel and tire combination. So now I'm going to throw the RPF1 on the G and see how it looks. Alright, so the front wheel's on. As you see, it's got more wheel gap because this tire, I believe, is a 26-inch diameter, and the original is like a 27. But you can see it clears the sport brakes, just barely, but it does. In terms of fitment, it really sticks out quite a bit, especially if you compare it to the other side. That's almost flush. You'd really have to run pretty aggressive camber if you wanted to fit this size. But from a profile view, it looks really good. It looks good with the paint color. It's actually a wheel I was considering getting for the G, so it's nice to see them actually mounted and see how it looks with the rest of the car. So even though this offset is too aggressive, at least for the setup that I'm going to be going with, there's not too much space to play with the sport brakes. There's only about a finger width between the spoke and the caliper. But let's throw on the rear wheel now and see how that looks. Alright, so the rear one is on. Again, looks pretty good. I wasn't concerned about the rear bigger brakes. There's a good amount of room in there to play with. But again, even with the rear having more camber stock, the tire still sticks out quite a bit. That's the rear, and that's the front. So to compare the RPF1s with the G35 wheels, that's how much they stick out with RPF1s. And then with the G35 wheels, it pretty much sits flush with the fender. So the profile shot looks really good. I actually really like the way that they look on this car. But if I did want to get a set of RPF1s for this car, I'd really have to mess with the offset and see what's going to work best for the car with, you know, the ride height that it's going to be and the alignment specs. And as you can see, the specs are pretty aggressive and they don't fit too well on the G. They do look good, but they don't fit very well with the offset that they have. So for those of you that were wondering, I hope this gives you a good idea of how the RPF1s from my Z look on the G37. I don't plan on doing wheels and tires anytime soon, but this is definitely a design that I would consider in the future. So drop a comment down below, let me know what you think of these wheels, how they look, any other questions you might have. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please hit the subscribe button as well as turn on the notifications so you get notified when I post a new video. And as always, thanks to everyone for their support. All right, so now I gotta throw the other wheels back on so I can use the car today. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next time.